Welcome to the Butterfly Effect. I'm Chris Horner. This is Brabantse. Now this is a semi-classic. It's up in the north. It's going to be raining, miserable conditions, 205 kilometers, so about 130 miles. And it's going to have a circuit. They're going to do about 4 laps, not quite. Let's call it 3.25, with 4 good bergs on there with some cobbles in there. And of course, they have the S-bends going up to the finish from the last 1.3K all the way up to about 400 meters and then a flat sprint into the finish. Now, if you guys watched this race last year, it was a fabulous final with Tom Pidcock winning his first European road race season. He beat Wout van Aert in the sprint. So I wanted to cover this race, but when I turned this race on this morning with 90 kilometers to go, I had no idea what was in store for me because it was going to be action-packed from 90 kilometers all the way to the finish of today's stage. And when I mean action, I mean intense. It took me 2 hours after watching the race, 2 hours to analyze this race and break it down for you guys here on the Butterfly Effect. Now, when the racing starts, I want to bring one thing up. Julian Alaphilippe, Quick-Step, is in the house, and he's got Remco Evenepoel. So, before the race even starts, I'm assuming the Wolfpack is in full stride here at the Brabantse, and we're going to watch a marvelous race and probably a great chance of seeing Quick-Step win today's race and get some redemption on the failure throughout this 2022 season classic campaign, with Asgreen always coming up short and all of the other riders being a little bit under weather, injury, whether sickness too. So they had a lot of reasons with Quick-Step to be off here at this classic. But again, now we're starting with Julian Alaphilippe. We know he's on form. We just got done seeing him win. And here we are with Julian Alaphilippe and Remco Evenepoel leaving the Basque Country, where they were incredibly strong and won a stage with Julian Alaphilippe. So for sure, the Wolfpack must be in full effect here, right? That's not going to be the case on today's race, but it could have been multiple times. Now, let's get into the action because it's pretty thick. It's pretty thick and heavy. With 87 kilometers to go, there's already a crash on the first roundabout when the TV screen comes on. One going on the left, one going on the right, and it's Davide Ballerini Quick-Step that comes out as one of the bad luck riders here early in today's the Brabantse race. That takes away one really fast, strong finisher for Quick-Step. Now, up front in the breakaway, we got 3 riders. Ludovic Robert from Bingol, Anders Omika from Burgos BH. We see him oftentimes down in Spain. And then, of course, the other Belgian rider from Sport Vlaanderen, Aaron van Poppel. Those riders had a maximum time at about 4.5 minutes on today's race, but it's already down below 2.5 minutes when the cameras come on. So they're not going to factor in today's race. I won't even bring them up again. Now, right away, when we see the teams chasing back there, we know Lotto wants the good result here. Quick-Step's on the front. Alpecin Phoenix is on the front. Ineos is on the front. And when it's raining and cold like today's stage, you have to be incredibly careful up here in the north of Europe because the roads are incredibly slippery. There's never going to be a time where you can relax when it's a day like today and it's miserable conditions. Right away with 80 kilometers to go, it's Ben Turner up there, Ineos attacking on the Herzstraat climb. Now, he's got some company in along with Sheffield, Victor Campenaerts, Nizzolo, and Alexander Camp from Trek Segafredo. You might remember him from the last race at Amstel Gold. He's on form, and now he's in this front group of 5. And this is a crazy group of 5 because it's strong. It has 2 Ineos riders. But then Remco Evenepoel joins the pot. And when he gets up there, this is hilarious. Him and Ben Turner have a little spout here, and we see the elbow and the hand pushed into Ben Turner from Remco Evenepoel, the Quick-Step rider. Ben Turner doesn't like it, but it doesn't go much further than that. Now, back in my day, I was this pretty small rider. I was only about 137 to 142 pounds throughout my campaign in Europe. And so when I'm getting pushed around at this point in time, like I'm watching Remco Evenepoel do to Ben Turner, and Ben Turner's a big guy. So when I'm watching that happen, though, I'm taking the guy to the curb after that. We're going to the curb. If it's a really big rider, I'll go find his race leader and I'll take his race leader to the curb. But I'll make it clear that no one's going to push me like that at any point in time. Ben Turner handles it a lot calmer than I would have because there would have been a fighting match going on at that point in time. And I bring this up because Remco Evenepoel does this kind of trick stuff quite often. But another reason why he's upset is because when he got up to that group, right away the 2 Ineos riders, they don't want to work with him. They're all hot and heavy and wanted everybody to work together. And then when Remco Evenepoel Quick-Step shows up there, all of a sudden no one has the power to work with Remco Evenepoel, and everybody's on the radio talking to the directors, wondering if it's okay if they can start rotating through still with one Quick-Step rider in the form of Remco Evenepoel up there. So you could see why Remco Evenepoel was a little upset and started doing a little pushing and shoving. But the hands can never come off the bars when you're racing your bike. It's one thing to take the shoulder in, maybe a little bit of a headbutt, but when the hands come off, like I said, that's when I start getting aggressive back, because you got to make sure that never happens again in the future. Now, after that push with about 69 kilometers to go, that front group will get brought back by the peloton, and we'll come into 3 laps to go with about 65K in the race. Now, this is about the time when the front 2 breakaway riders, the last 2 left at today's race, they'll get caught and wrapped up shortly after with 3 laps to go. And then we're going to start seeing some more exciting with 63 kilometers to go when it's UAE Team Emirates on the front. And they're trying to lead it out up this climb for Matteo Trentin, who's coming back around on form here in 2022. Been a little bit off because of sickness, if I remember correctly, but looks solid here at the Brabantse. And UAE Team Emirates are putting in a showing. And then it's Daryl Impey, Israel Premier Tech on the front, throwing in a big attack. Have not seen a big attack like this from Daryl Impey in a long time. And here he's putting on a show, and there it is, right on his wheel. Julian Alaphilippe Quick-Step is now starting to show his face at the front of the race. He'll take some pulls up there and try to split this race up, but that group won't be the next move that goes off the road that'll stick. It'll be another group with 54 kilometers to go up the Moskstrat. It's Ben Turner, Ineos, throwing in a big attack. He's trying to break away. Now, Ineos have been aggressive throughout today's race. I already told you the story just a little bit ago there with Ben Turner. Now he's throwing up another hard move, and this is going to cause a big selection back here because it's Remco Evenepoel with Victor Campenaerts. My man Vic is trying to stay with Remco Evenepoel, and you can see him suffering on the back as he's trying to hold the wheel of the Quick-Step rider. Now, Remco Evenepoel has been fabulous on the pedals with strength, but he's showing always a little bit too much. And remember, it's way too early. The other move, under 80 kilometers to go, and now this move with just about 60 kilometers to go. This is a long distance to start breaking away from the Wolfpack Remco Evenepoel. I don't understand at this moment why you haven't learned your lesson when we go all the way back to last year's World Championships and you went in the break with 178 kilometers to go. Today is still too early. The earlier attack by Ineos, you should have left that for your teammates back there to bring that back. Instead, you brought that back. Of course, no one's going to work with you, Remco Evenepoel, because you're one of the best, strongest racers in the world. Maybe just not the most intelligent at this particular race, though, because you've already used big bullets to go across to Ineos, and now you're going across again with over 60 kilometers left in the race. Now that group up front swells and gets much bigger, and we're talking about 10 that comes together up there. But first, we're going to see it with 50 kilometers to go. It's 6 guys up front with Tom Pidcock, Ben Turner, Tim Wellens is up there, Benoit Cosnefroy, second at Amstel Gold Race. Remco Evenepoel's up there, and Robert Stannard is up there. Now chasing behind, we can see in the picture, Dylan Teuns from Bahrain victorious back there. Magnus Sheffield's coming across with Victor Campenaerts and Warren Barguil. That's going to give us 10 riders at the front of this race. And they got a gap on the field behind. Now, when we look back to the peloton back there, it's Israel Startup Nation chasing. But they don't have the full numbers. At this point in time, with 50 kilometers to go in the race, it has been a catastrophic chaos all over the place for every team out there between the crashes, the rain, the slippery roads, the cobblestone climbs. It's been an incredibly exciting race from the couch, and I've just getting about halfway in the race at this point in time with still 50 kilometers to go. Now, Israel Startup Nation is doing everything they can back there as that group, 3 groups up front will come together to make 10. They're working well together. To my disbelief, 3 Ineos riders in there with Sheffield, the American rider, only 19 years of age, but we've seen him throughout the classics already here in 2022 doing spectacular stuff and winning solo at the Ruta del Sol. So we know Sheffield is on form. When we've watched the other classics earlier, Ben Turner we know is on form, and we've seen him just firing like crazy here at the Brabantse. Now Tom Pidcock is in this front group. Now when you're taking this front group of 10 and you're looking at the speed that Ineos have, Tom Pidcock, who won last year against Wout van Aert in the sprint, Sheffield, who has good form, only 19 years of age. So we're not exactly certain what to expect here at the Classics. But Ben Turner, if you've watched any of the Classics before today's race, you know he's on flying form. So when you take the other group of 7 in this group of 10 now, you got to ask yourself, is this a perfect group? You look at the 2 Lotto riders, Wellens and my man Victor Campenaerts. That's not a bad selection right there. They got 2 against 3 in a group of 10. I'd take those odds as Lotto. But when you're looking at Remco Evenepoel, the Wolfpack, now, how many times have we called them the Wolfpack? It's because they win as a group. But Remco Evenepoel's trying to do everything by himself, and he's been trying to do it from 80 kilometers to go. Now we got 50 kilometers to go still. He's outnumbered by 3-1 against Ineos and 9-1 in the group of 10. Does not look like a fantastic situation for Quick-Step. At this point in time, if you're one of these group here, if one of these individuals in this group of 10, you can back off here and make the Ineos riders really start having to decide which 2 out of the 3 riders they're going to start doing a lot of work, but nobody does that. Everybody rotates through in this group of 10, and nobody rotates through stronger or more impressive than Remco Evenepoel from Quick-Step. And let me remind you guys, he's got 4 teammates in the group behind. He doesn't have to do much or anything up here, and he should have never been in this group to begin with, because when he has so much power behind with one Julian Alaphilippe, one Remy Cavagna, who's a French champion, so we know he's riding good, and then when you look at Maury van Savenhoff back there and Dries Devenens and 2 super domestiques, you know he has options, but he's not going to pull out the option card for anything. He wants a shot at going big here at the Brabantse and trying to take today's win in a group of 10. Now with 40 kilometers to go, Bahrain's victorious Dylan Teuns, he gets unlucky and he gets a mechanical and has to pull out of this break of 10. And then 2 kilometers later when they start the Hertstraat, it's Remco Evenepoel. He's suffering. He's coming out the back with Warren Barguil and my man Victor Campenaerts. That group of 3 will find their way back up to the group of 10. And when they do, at this point in time, it's about 32 kilometers to go. And Remco Evenepoel goes straight to the front and attacks the group. Now, the announcers, Adam Blythe, I worked with him with NBC. He's throwing in comments in there like, this is a great tactic for Remco Evenepoel. It'll get him a little bit of a gap before the next climb. Adam, are you absolutely crazy? I'm going to post what you said right up here so that all the fans can read what you said. And when you look at, when you dissect what Adam Blythe says here, one of the commentators on GCN, he actually thinks that Remco Evenepoel can rest his legs by getting a gap on the group behind so that he's rested for the next climb. You can't rest at the Brabantse, Adam Blythe, going up the road, sticking your face in the wind. It's impossible, especially Adam Blythe. How about you talk about the tactics of him just sitting on the Ineos riders, killing this break at 30 kilometers to go. So his 4 Quick-Step riders in the back group with one Julian Alaphilippe, who's already won here in Spain just a week before here. Why don't you allow that group to come back and then reshuffle so you're not outnumbered Remco Evenepoel? Instead, he's on the attack. Adam Blythe is congratulating him for the aggressive moves, and I'm sitting on the couch pulling what little bit of hair out I got left, trying to figure out what Remco Evenepoel's doing up there without his Wolfpack 3-1 on Ineos. It's crazy and ridiculous tactics up here again from Quick-Step, and they're going to pay the price big time. Now with the last lap to go, as everything up front is still for play for the group of 7 that's now up the road. The peloton behind, what's left of it, if you want to call it the peloton, they're coming across the line with 1 to go. As the cars are passing, it's the Quick-Step car that gets bumped by the Cofidis rider. I believe it's Brian Cocard. Bounces off the car, goes back into the group, hits the AG2R rider, and there's the Quick-Step guys all crashed out. So Remco Evenepoel, if you could see this crash, if you could have predicted this crash, then your tactic of staying up in that front group of 10 originally was a fabulous idea, because it's Julian Alaphilippe that goes down. It's Remy Cavagna that stays with him, and Dries Devenens is there. So you got 3 Quick-Step riders out of the race, and then there's only one more Van Savenhoff that's left back in what's considered the peloton of today's race with 1 lap to go. Up front, that group of 7 now. The gap has always been close. 30 seconds, 45 seconds, a minute gap at the most. So remember, at any point in time in this race, Remco Evenepoel could have always pulled the ace card out and said, hey, I got my team back there. But now with under 1 to go, he doesn't have that option anymore, and he's got to figure out how to win here at the Brabantse after he's already been coming off on the cobble climbs earlier before the 1 lap to go. Now up front, the group of 7, we see as they go over the penultimate climb, there's some more chaos back there. Warren Barguil is off the back of the group of 6. They'll play some games, slow down. Warren Barguil, the Arkea Samsic rider, he'll find his way back up to the group of 6, and now they become 7 again. Now, with 7 kilometers to go, Tim Wellens starts the tactical game here in the front. Finally, while I'm sitting on the couch, I could not believe how well this group worked together with 3 Ineos riders. Tim Wellens pulls off to the right. He doesn't want to rotate through anymore. And this is the tactic you want to play if you're a solo rider. You got to find a way to get away from this group if you want a shot at winning with the kind of speed of Tom Pidcock that he has in his legs. Let me remind you guys again, he beat Wout van Aert here in a sprint. Now, I know he's been suffering a little bit, but who hasn't been suffering after 200 kilometers of racing in the rain over hard bergs and technical, crazy, slippery roads like in today's De Brabantse? So I love the tactic of Tim Wellens starting a little bit of chaos. The problem is, after the next attacks go, it comes back together. And then with just under 4 kilometers to go, Tim Wellens makes a big mistake, folks. He lets Sheffield, Magnus Sheffield, the 19-year-old American, go up the road. He doesn't follow the wheel. Magnus Sheffield gets a little gap. We see in the picture there, it's Ben Turner on his radio immediately telling Sheffield, get on the gas, brother. You got an open gap. Light this race up. Ineos have the window of opportunity that they've been looking throughout this 205-kilometer race as Sheffield's up the front, pushing hard, going solo. Now behind, it's Remco Evenepoel will throw an attack. Cosnefroid will throw an attack. Tim Wellens will throw an attack. Warren Barguil will throw an attack. But all of them are covered by the Ineos riders and shut down as the gap with 1.5 kilometers to go up to the American rider Magnus Sheffield is 14 seconds when we start the S-bend climb. About 800, 900 meters up to the top before the 400-meter flat section into the finish. It's a beautiful finish to today's De Brabantse for Magnus Sheffield as he's going solo, sitting down, putting power into the pedals. With 400 meters to go, he caresses the S-bend climb and starts looking back. When he does, there's no one on your wheel. Magnus Sheffield, you have been magnificent throughout today's one-day classic. And as he's coming to the line, celebrating his second big win here in Europe, Team Ineos not just winning back-to-back with Amstel Gold and here at the Brabantse, but remember, they won at Tour of the Basque Country plus 2 stages at Tour of the Basque Country. So this week has been a phenomenal week and a half here for Team Ineos as they're winning across the European continent in big fashion. 19-year-old Magnus Sheffield winning. Congratulations. Much praise here on the butterfly effect. Behind, when we're coming into the sprint with about 300, 200 meters to go, Tim Wellens, Lotto Sudol back there all the way on the right. He's going to do a no-no. He's going to hook everybody hard to the left. Remco Evenepoel, Quick-Step, who've been trying left and right to win here today at the Brabantse. Now he's sprinting for second. He's got the brakes locked up, almost sliding into the fence. We'll see his arms go up as he protests. Now we'll come through the line. Cosnefroid will get second. Warren Barguil third. But in between those guys is Tim Wellens finishing third on the stage, but he'll get relegated all the way back to ninth. Not even 7th because they got caught from behind from Michael Matthews and Dylan Teuns. Bahrain victorious, who was originally in this group of 10, has found his way back up into the top 10 results at the end of today's De Brabantse. An absolutely stunning race, 90 kilometers, and I'm not joking. It took me 2 hours to analyze this race after it was finished. There was so much going on to figure out what I would bring to you guys here on the Butterfly Effect. Go back, watch the whole 90 kilometers. It was worth it. It's certainly worth all your time and energy as every racer throughout today's stage was aggressive and attacking left or right. I don't endorse any of it. I don't like any of the tactics, and I would call just about everyone up there a knucklehead aside from the 3 Ineos riders, because with those kind of numbers in a group of 10, you might as well work and blow this race up. But everybody else, I got to call a knucklehead. But thank you, because I was on the edge of the couch for the whole 90 kilometers. Now, one more thing before I go. We hit 50,000 subscribers last night on the Butterfly Effect. I want to thank all you guys for viewing. I hope you guys love the content as much as I love delivering it. My boy Garrett and I, we've been doing this now for over 2 years, and we have over 300 videos out there. Today's race, though, was exceptional. I loved all of it, and it was worth all the extra effort and time to analyze to bring it to you guys here on the Butterfly Effect. Make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you guys on the next edition of the Butterfly Effect.